So businesses are demanding more from IT organizations, more than they ever have before.
Absolutely.
How are the departments able to handle the influx of projects? Because that must be a challenge for them.
It is. When all of the business unit personnel place a lot of requests into the IT organization, they're all in the form of projects. So now we get into project management, which is part of delivering services. It's really difficult to get projects right. They're only as good as the day you put the project plan together. So here's another example. So Calvin Rhodes is CIO of the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia has 119 agencies, each headed up by a commissioner, with its own tactical operational CIO and a host of project managers, doing hundreds of millions of dollars of projects. And 4 years ago, 5 years ago, things were going sort of okay, but there were some major issues with some projects like driver license renewal. When you start impacting the citizens of the state, people start to scream. Other projects that are internal, if they go bad, it costs money, which is an issue. So Tom Fruman, who works for Calvin, wanted to improve the project management process. So he said, we got to put a project portfolio management system in across all the agencies as opposed to everybody doing what they want. He tried 3 times and it failed, just like lots of ERP systems fail. And finally he just gave up, but he came across a solution that was really interesting, because in the end he found a governance solution that could sit on top of all these project management solutions that each of the states were doing, that really helped them to proactively identify project risk instead of reactively solving project risk. The second thing it did is it really identified key predictors of success by measuring key performance indicators. And the way they would get the data for those key performance indicators is that they would take the standard data from PPM, which is the acronym for Project Portfolio Management Systems, schedule, cost, and resources. But in addition, what they did is they wanted to give a voice for the stakeholders. So now you talk about teaming. So the third thing that was really interesting is they really enabled teaming across the project teams and the key stakeholders of the project, which is the business side, by a communication process through assessments. And what these assessments were really trying to get input from the stakeholders on how the project was running, and the questions were basically around the key performance indicators. When they first started this, of course the project manager is going to say everything is fine, and then what they found is the key stakeholders were saying, not really, and so there was a lot of disparity around the input from the key stakeholders. Well, what was happening is red flags were going up because those responses through a set of algorithms with this solution were showing that projects were at risk and would enable the project teams to mitigate those risks. But over time, what was happening, it was forcing the project manager to communicate with all the key stakeholders, and over time you found that the disparity in terms of how the project was going really wasn't a lot of disparity. People were all agreeing. What that was saying is the project teams, which included the key stakeholders, they knew what to look for. So as a result, projects were being delivered more on time at less cost, and they did some analysis and they saved millions of dollars on this. Those are 2 interesting examples of delivering services exceptionally well.